Hello and welcome to the Elemental Entrepreneurship Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah. I almost entirely have my voice back. I'm very excited about it. If you listened to the Cancer season reading last week, you know I completely lost my voice, but it's pretty much back now. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to bring you today's conversation with Inbar Madar. But before we do, I just want to make a couple of quick little announcements. Announcement number one is that my brand new program, Soft Biz Era, there is a unexpected second cohort that has formed after the doors closed. I had a few people reach out and ask if it was too late to join, and so I just decided to put together a second group, and we're going to have our first call, our kickoff call, on Monday, July 1st at 10 a.m. PST. So you can still join. It's not too late. You can still get in, and I opened up a new option for people who can't make any of the live calls. The live calls are going to be on Mondays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. PST for the next 6 weeks. But if you wanted to get access to the program, but you can't make those live calls, I created a Telegram only option. So if you join the Telegram only option, you will get the private audio transmissions that will be in our Telegram group. It's like a little private podcast feed of concepts and journal prompts and things to work on to help you create your own soft biz structure. And you will also get access to the Telegram group itself, where you can ask me coaching questions and get feedback from me and from the group, all on Telegram. And that is $1.99. So you can hop into the Telegram only option, or you can join with the live group coaching calls for $4.97 or 3 payments of $183. And I'm going to put the link for that in the show notes. And even if you're hearing this after Monday morning, you can still join. I'm probably going to leave it open for about a week so that it's still easy to get caught up if you've only missed one call. After that, because the program's only 6 weeks, I will close the doors. But you can still hop into that. So if you have FOMO, if you wish that you had signed up for Soft Biz Era when the doors were open, you can again. And I love that I have such a flexible, easeful business that when opportunities like that open up and I have people who say, am I too late, that I can just pivot and create an opportunity for something like this to happen. And that is because I have such flexibility in my schedule, because I have structured a soft business, and it's really nice. So I highly recommend that you click the link in the show notes and go check that out, and hop into that container either in the full group or the Telegram only option. The second little announcement that I have is that there are 6 months left in the year, and there is still time for this year to be the best year of business you've ever had. And if you would like some support with that, if you'd like help to make sure that you reach the goals you set for yourself at the beginning of the year that maybe you haven't made so much movement on, I have some spots open for one-on-one coaching, and I have a few new different packages that range from kind of light support where it's all Voxer, all the way up to the most intimate support where we get multiple Zoom calls per month and you get access to all of my courses and all of my programs. And it just depends on how much access you want, how much support you need, and what is the right price point for you. So if you would like to work together one-on-one, you can email me intuitiveedgecoaching@gmail.com and just put one-on-one in the subject line. You don't even have to put anything else. I'll just give you all of my packages in an email. Or you can message me on Instagram at Intuitive Edge Coaching and ask me about one-on-one packages, and I can give you all of the current packages and pricing, because there are some new things that aren't on my website. So I would love to support you through the second half of the year in the way that feels the most supportive and the most right for you. Those are all of my announcements. Without further ado, let's get into today's conversation about building a grounded business with Inbar Madar.
Today on the show, I am so excited to introduce you to Inbar Madar. Inbar is a seasoned consultant with over a decade of leadership and business strategy experience, with a profound dedication to empowerment, education, and strategic guidance. Inbar strives to redefine the landscape of entrepreneurship. She is dedicated to fortifying the infrastructure of small business, transforming aspirations into tangible achievements, and pioneering innovative pathways towards success. Invar, welcome. Did I pronounce your name
Hi.
right?
You did. You
Okay,
pronounced
good.
it like perfectly. I was like
As I
impressed.
was saying it, I was like, oh, I should have checked. Welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So, one thing that I always love asking guests on this show, because our audience likes to know these things, is do you know your astrology, your sun, moon, and rising? And do you know your human design?
I know my astrology. I know I'm a Scorpio sun, Taurus moon, and Virgo rising.
Got it.
And then I'm pretty sure my human design is manifesting generator or something like that. I didn't go too deep into human design yet, but if my memory that's what it was.
Love that. So Scorpio sun, Virgo rising, Taurus moon. I was guessing based on your bio, just how much like on the strategy side of business you are. I was like, I bet she has a lot of earth.
Yep. It correlates well. I feel like with the human design as well, from what I remember, I was like, it's like people who are more prone to burnout and stuff like that because it's like jack of all trades and it's like a little bit of everything. And that's like literally me. So,
That's definitely a manifesting generator. I love that.
yeah.
So first of all, how did you get into the entrepreneurship world? What was your journey there?
Yeah. So I actually started just in, I was working in retail. I got promoted fairly quickly to being a store manager at my first job. And then I kept being promoted to more and more like leadership positions. So I learned a lot in my corporate career. And I'm one of these people that always was like, one day I'm going to start a business. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like, but one day I'm going to do it. And I never actually did it because I didn't know what I want to do. I just knew I don't want to do like, something just for the sake of having a business and say I'm a business owner. And when I was in corporate, in my last few years in corporate, I was actually working with small business owners, with either our company's franchisors or wholesalers that were just owning, mom and pop shops, really small stores selling our products. And I helped them a lot with their strategy and pricing and cost and like all the different portions of running a business. And the more I did it, the more it kind of hit me how huge the gap of information is between corporates and leaders in corporates and small business owners, because most small business owners are not starting their company being like, I love business strategy and numbers. Like they have a different passion and they're trying to make that impact, but most of them don't come from that, background and experience. And so that's when I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I can really help bridge that gap between someone's passion and what they're trying to achieve and the type of business information and knowledge and tools they need to really achieve it without burning themselves out, I feel like you'll always have self-doubts to some extent, but without really letting all of these portions of us that can come from lack of experience really take over and essentially potentially even make us fail.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So, one of the things that we were talking about before we started recording is why such a high percentage of businesses fail. I think I read it's like 85% of businesses fail within the first 18 months. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts on why that happens.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite research, and not for the reason you think. It's one of my favorite because it's so vague. Basically, the numbers are 45% of small businesses close within 5 years, and then 70% close within 10 years, and it's due to lack of profits. And the reason why I find it silly to say that it's due to lack of profits is because it's essentially like saying a person dies when their heart stops working. Like, yeah, I mean, if you don't have money, you're not going to be able to sustain a business. But that's not the root. Why do you not have profits, right? Like, what are you doing in your business, or what are you lacking that causes that lack of profits? It can be your marketing, it can be your budgeting, it can be your revenue, it can be your expenses. There's so many things that go into your profits that I think it's broader than what we think. And a lot of the times we also get scared by, reading something like that is like, oh, well, if I can't be profitable, what's the point? And you can. You just really want to make sure that you're being intentional with your actions and with how you spend your resources, whether it's money, time, your skills, your network, whatever it is. It's really important that we're really intentional with how we're utilizing it to then generate the profits that can help us sustain the business and build something that is really long term.
Yeah. I think that's so important because, like you said, lack of profits, you're like, okay, what does that mean? And I see, and then I think, this kind of ties into the self-doubt thing. I see an attitude from people sometimes where like not making money in the business is like something that's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like out of your control and like so mysterious. And then like, what it also means when you see people who are making a lot of money in their business, that's something that's happening to them that's like magical and you can't figure out how they're doing that. And all of that is a story that's like totally made up and has nothing to do with like business just being like a little bit of a machine and a math problem, a garden. It's
yes.
like when something's not growing, okay, let's troubleshoot why it's not growing and we can fix it versus like, oh, this isn't growing and I guess there's just nothing we can do about it. That's just how it is.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you said that because I see it all the time and I'd be lying saying I never had self-doubts. And I come from like, that's what I've been doing in my whole career. But sometimes you're so emotionally attached to that business. And a lot of the times we let business define what we mean. And are we successful? Well, is our business successful? And there's a lot of connections that I don't believe are healthy necessarily that can then immediately cause you to self-doubt. And then you have comparison, right? Like no matter where you look, all you'll see online is curated stuff and only success and no failures and no struggles. And so it's almost impossible to avoid that comparison. And whenever you compare yourself to the bigger, better, more experienced, you're going to create self-doubt that will then make you less intentional with how you utilize everything you do have. And yeah, that can be a really quick way to really not having your business grow to where it could be.
Absolutely. So when you see someone who's kind of like considering closing their business down because they're like, oh, well, I've been struggling for so long and I've never gotten to profitability and I'm not making money. What are the things that you would look at with them?
So I usually first do an assessment of the business. I want to first identify, I call it the drive framework, and it's literally the whole point of that framework is taking that self-doubt of should I keep the business open and turning it into drive by really identifying it's essentially 5 pillars. Do you have defined and clear goals? That's the first thing. Because a lot of the times as business owners, we wake up in the morning, and especially when you're not making money, you're telling yourself, I got to make way more money. I got to find more clients. It's today or never. I got to do it. And that's so overwhelming and not productive because I don't know even what that means. How do you approach something like that? It's so big. And so you first want to make sure you have these really clear goals and you have resilience and you have these soft skills to really adapt to the market and adapt to changes. And I mean, even these days, in my opinion, at least, recession is definitely happening and a lot of things are shifting and you want to shift with it. That's part of being a business owner. And then we have intentional action, really making sure that you're utilizing everything you have correctly. Then we have value value-based analysis of your business. What are you trying to achieve? What are your numbers? And then just empower growth. And that's usually where I start. I want to first identify what is the thing that's stopping you from thinking clearly and looking at the numbers and being able to tell me from your numbers, why are you not being profitable? Where is your money going? And then we can start talking about how you're really flipping that script and creating a plan that is profitable and not just coming out of, almost like a panic of like, I got to do something or else, I got to do something or else. Because that's usually where our resources and our money is like being spread thin, and we're left out without a lot of profit in our pocket and without a plan to expand and really grow the business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it requires first deciding that you are capable of problem solving, like that this is a problem that you can solve and that you can dig into, which even just that means shifting out of this, like, oh, I don't know what's going wrong. Something is happening. It's just not working. I guess business just isn't for me. I'm just not cut out for this. This is too hard.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, this is something that can be fixed. And we just have to dive into what's really happening and what the back end of the business is telling us so that we can make strategic changes.
Yeah, 100%. I always say, the saying of it's not about whether you fall, it's if you get up or something like that. And it's such a self-doubt thing. You'll get up. Like, I don't doubt any human. We're all going to get up, but it's about how do you get up? Do you get up saying, I'm going to fix this problem? Let me just take a look at it from a different point of view. Or are you saying, I'm getting up, but I'm tired and I just don't want to do it? And that's also okay. Not everyone, have to own a business. But if it's something that feels right and feels like you're really kind of fulfilling your purpose, then it's really important to then, gain those skills of problem solving and critical thinking, to not immediately jump to, it's got to be me. I'm just not built to own a business. It's nothing else. It's just me.
And I think that's more likely to happen for business owners, like the type of business owners, I was, and that we both work with, where you came into business because you have a thing you do that you're really good at, not because you have a lot of business background. Most of the people I work with, right, like either they've never worked in corporate or, like the first time they've ever managed anyone was in their own company when they were looking at, needing to bring on a team member, like all of these business skills they're learning in their own business. And when you don't have that business training and that business background, it is easier to jump into like stories about, well, it must be me, because you just don't even have enough information to consider what other things it might be.
100%.
I think this also ties into something else that we were talking about before the show, which is the way that business is marketed in the coaching world and in the online business space. We are fed a lot of fairy tales. And
Yes.
it is, the way that a lot of coaches market is, I'm going to flash big numbers at you. I'm going to talk about profit margins. I'm going to either make up or cherry pick testimonials of the customers who have gotten the most outrageous and untypical results. And I'm going to say, you can have this. And I'm going to make these outlandish promises to you that, in 4 days, you're going to build a funnel that's going to generate you $1 million, and it's going to be all passive income. Like, it's all so made up. But
Yes.
if you don't have a grounding in business to understand how predatory and made up that messaging is, and that's all you're hearing, it is easy to think everyone else must be getting results like that except me. So I must be doing something wrong, as opposed to being able to recognize that these results are mostly either not true or very, very finely selected. Most people's experience in business is not overnight success and 7 figures in their first year off of one funnel.
Yes. And it's also not sustainable. Like, I've seen so many posts and so many brands that have had this like overnight success, and I'm doing a quote unquote kind of thing, and they ended up closing because these numbers mean nothing. Even if you tell me you're making $5 million a year and it took you, I don't know, a week to start like getting this crazy numbers, I don't know how much you put into it. Like, it's not just about, building a converting funnel. What about the traffic? How did you pay to get so much traffic? Did you already have an Instagram with like 100,000 followers? Like, there are so many variables that no one is aware of. So I always say, even the ones that are like an actual overnight success, you don't see the work that was put in before that overnight success. No one opens up, social media links, create one funnel, and then is making 7 figures within 6 months. It's just not how business works. And I agree with you. I think it's a lot of programs and a lot of professionals get good conversion because they are targeting these business owners that really just want to be successful and really just want to take their business to the next step, and they don't know how. And when you put such huge numbers in front of them, they're saying, well, I guess it's me. Just to tell me what to do. And there's no one formula that will fit everyone, because you also want to think about, what do you like doing? Do you even like social media? Do you want to do offline strategies? Like, there's so many ways to grow a business. And a lot of the times these programs will teach you, like, use this funnel to do this thing, use this language, and then you'll be rich. And it's like, it's a little bit more complex than that. And it's a little bit more personal than that. And give yourself the respect as well and the appreciation for yourself to say, here's what I like doing, here's what I don't like doing. I'm going to build my strategy around what I like doing and not be forced into doing something in a very specific path for a promise that may happen and may not happen.
This is so important. And I hear business owners all the time. Like, this is like one of my pet peeve. Anyone watching this, the video version of this sees a cattail.
It's a very cute cattail, I must say.
Be on camera all the time. The phrase, will this work for me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That I feel so many business owners that I hear, well, I want to do this, but like, will this work for me? And what will this work for me means is, if I do exactly what you tell me to do, will I make money? And they won't say that, right? But that's what will this work for me means. If I do exactly what you say, will I make money? And that's a question that you could ask. Another question you could be asking is, does this strategy align with the way that I want to live my life? Does this strategy create the time that I want to have available for my family? Does this strategy work for my personality? Is this sustainable for me? And we're so frequently so caught up in like, I need to make money and that's the only metric that matters, that people forget to ask some of those other questions. And it is this incredible outsourcing of our own power and our own authority to be like, I don't know what to do. I'm just roaming around the internet streets looking for someone who's going to be like, yes, I promise you, if you do exactly what I say, you're going to make all this money. And that makes you vulnerable to predatory marketing because you're not thinking about yourself.
100%. I love that. And I think it also connects to corporate. Like, so many people, you usually leave your 9 to 5 job to open a business because you're unhappy and you want to do things your way and you want to be fulfilled and you want to maybe spend more time with your family or like buy a farm. I don't know, whatever this like next step of your life looks like. And then you start a business and you get so deep into these get rich quick methods that you forgot about why you left your last career, and you left it because you want to do things in a way that will help you feel fulfilled and help you feel good about yourself every day. And a lot of the times you're not going to find it there. And if this didn't work for you, there are literally hundreds of marketing channels alone that you could be utilizing, and you can literally connect them to what makes you happy, whether it's writing or meeting people or recording yourself or going places or whatever it is. There's all of it can be a marketing strategy. You don't have to do this like one really simple formula of like, do these 3 steps and you're going to make seven figures next year, because not only it's not realistic, you're also going to need to do a lot of the stuff that you may not want to do and are not aligned with your current or future goals.
Oh, and I get so about this because it also makes me think about how often with these people who are promising this, like just follow my formula, and they call themselves business coaches, but they're not actually coaching. They're teaching you one formula that worked for them. And that's actually not the same as coaching. And so what ends up being hard for me and other people who are coaches or consultants is like, it is a little harder to sell and explain to people that I can't tell you exactly what we're going to do because I won't know exactly what we're going to do until we get in and start working on your business. I don't just teach people how to do things my way. I don't want you to build my business. It's like not going to work for you. Like you have to build your business. I'm here, like coaches are here to coach you through figuring out what's right for you and then helping you implement and build the thing that's right for you. But there's so many words in the current business world that kind of get tossed around and confused. And right, it's like people say they're doing a mastermind, but they're actually doing group coaching. People say that they're coaching, but they're actually teaching. Like these words are not all interchangeable. They all actually mean something different.
I actually love that you said that. I have so many conversations about that. It's definitely, I am the same. I get so frustrated, because I see many people that have tried to work with a business coach that started their own business. They were legit successful. But again, there's so many variables. And a lot of the times I'm like, I know this business coach story and they were literally in the right time and in the right place using a new tool that just came out, or like really just getting on a trend. It's almost like in stocks when not everyone, well, when people bought Bitcoin before it was a thing and they got rich. Can these people now teach you how to do stocks? No, they bought Bitcoin in the right time when it was new. It's very similar a lot of the times. And I think because there's no regulations and also no real meanings to your point, it gets confused and you really want to make sure that people are also aware of it. Like ask questions in the discovery calls, like, what is this person's experience? What are they trying to teach you? Does it align with what you want to do? If this doesn't work, can they teach you something else? Can they help you figure out new methods? And that's what I always say in my discovery calls when someone is like, can you guarantee results? Can you guarantee this thing will work? And I always say, no, but I can guarantee that I'll be there if it doesn't work to figure out how we pivot to something that may work better. That is my job as a consultant. And unlike coaches, I am way more, in the numbers, and I am way more telling people, here's your options and let's choose something. And then we're going to check your metrics and your ROI. And then you have coaches that are way more involved in the actual, all aspects of the process, right? Like emotionally and where the person is. And all of these people are doing something different, but just putting the sticker of like a business coach, I did this, come learn how I did it and do the same. The success rate is so low. And that's why it's so important to go with someone that can be a partner versus someone who's just teaching you one formula that worked for them 10 years ago and is expecting you to get the same results.
Absolutely. I think another thing that I talk about this a lot, and I'm just going to keep screaming this from the rooftops because I feel like it's just so important that people understand it. A lot of the biggest name business coaches in the industry right now, who are people who do this predatory marketing tactic of like, come learn my formula and I'm going to teach you how to make $1 bazillion. And they're flashing all the money and they're showing you their expensive bags and their lifestyle. And they promise miracle fast results. Many of them started their online career in the mid 2010s, right? 2015, 2016 in Beachbody. A lot of them were doing diet MLMs first. Many of the names started in Beachbody. So this is really important for a couple of reasons. One is the marketing tactics of diet culture and diet pills is like when you look at diet marketing and then you compare it to what we're talking about with business marketing, it's the same thing. I'm promising you, you're going to, get these miracle weight loss results if you take this pill or follow my formula that is the only one that works. And when you don't get those results, something's wrong with you and you just haven't found the right program yet. We're going to upsell you into a different program. We're going to switch you to a different pill. We're going to get you on these shakes. We're always having something else to sell you, but it's your fault if you don't get the results. It's not the program's fault. They took that marketing style and transferred it directly over to business. But it's also really important to know that, because if you built a following of several 100,000 followers selling diet stuff, which is a really easy thing to build a following on and sell, but it was especially easy in 2015. Like, those Beachbody girlies had the market on lock in 2015, 2016. Like, they were everywhere. So if you built a huge following off of fitness, and then you rebranded as a business coach on that same account, then someone new coming in who finds your account assumes you built that following teaching business, coaching business, but you didn't. You built that following doing diet marketing, and then you switched over, and a lot of those people just stayed with you. But you didn't build that following with this business. And I think it's like really important to point that out, because we see someone with a huge follower count and think that it means they're legit.
Yep.
And so not knowing what they built, how they built that following is tricky. And like, they'll have the engagement. It's not a bot following, right? Like, they really did build it, but they just built it on a totally different topic than the one that they do now. And that's kind of sneaky.
Yes, yes, yes. I love this conversation. Yes, I like so agree. And I haven't had a conversation about that in so long. And it's really, I just feel like this needs to be just brought up more and be more of a mainstream topic, because it's literally everywhere, and people are spending so much money. I've worked with many clients that have come after they have been spending 5 digits easily on these type of programs that brought them nothing. And you're right. The immediate thought is, well, this person has so many followers. Look at all their success stories. It's got to be me. And it's never going to be you. And it's also never going to be your business unless you come up with an idea that literally no one has ever done before. You have competition. And if other businesses are doing it, there is some sort of demand. So it's just a matter of adapting whatever part of your business needs to be adapted. If it's who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, your conversion, your upsell, your client retention, whatever portion it is, to gain the results you need. But this is not, a lot of the times, especially when you see all of these type of posts, it all looks like a dream. Like, you could also achieve that if you do that. It's like you're going to have this amazing lifestyle with fancy cars and bags and all of that. And no, anyone can do it if you're determined and you have critical thinking and problem solving skills and the understanding and the grounding of saying, this is not me. This is a business. It's separate from me. And I'm going to look at it from an objective and unbiased point of view, or I'm going to hire someone to help me to do that. That is how you're going to identify what's stopping you. And it's not going to be that like one funnel that worked for someone 10 years ago. And I always like looking on Instagram when they started their account, because it's never when they started their business. It's usually like literally 10 years before.
And that's so important too, right? Like, you built like, people are like, how did you build this following? And for a lot of people, it's like, well, I had built a really big community first, and then I started a business. Versus like I'm not saying it's not as common. I built my business account. I started a new account for my business, and I built that following on that following. But I had built a large following before that in my other life, in my dance world. I still have way more following in my dance Instagram than I do on my business one. And some of those people came over because they were interested in business. But I've been online. I had a live journal. I've been online for a really long time. So I had built online community before I started my business. And that is different than someone who has been very minimally online. You have like 200 friends on Facebook, and you personally know all of them, and most of them are your family. And it's a very different process. to
Yes.
build a following completely from scratch for your business than people who had built a community online before they started their business. And this is where we go back to your point about comparison. Is
Yes.
these numbers don't mean anything. When you're just looking at the follower count on someone's page, that is just a number. It holds no data for you about what their journey was like compared to yours that would allow you to compare yourself to their results.
Exactly. And usually when we compare ourselves to someone else, we're just going to look at what we're not doing or what we don't have that they may have. And I actually love your story, and I love the fact that you came with, a community and followers. I came exactly the opposite. I am probably my soul is I'm probably 60 years old in my actual like who I am, and I have never been online. I think I have like 400 friends on Facebook, and I grew my firm for 4 years without any online presence before I was like, let me start doing Instagram. And even to this day, Instagram is not my focus, and I'm not always consistent there. And I'm okay with that because that is not the resource I came to my business with. And I wanted to leverage the resources I had. And a lot of the times when we compare each other, we're just looking at what I don't have. Oh, I don't have that followers. Oh, I don't have that success. Oh, she has, a fancy bag. That must mean she has money. And we're never looking at the opposite. Well, what do I have that I can really leverage and help my business grow from that versus what do I not have that may help the other person next to me be, successful and run a business.
Yeah. So where were you primarily marketing when you started?
So I did what I still do to this day, which is just analyzing my resources. My main resource was my network from my corporate world. I worked with a lot of business owners already. I knew a lot of people personally, and I just started establishing these connections. I am also way more I guess, comfortable in person than online. And so I went to networking events, I went to summits, I went to conventions, and I didn't go to these places. I literally didn't even have business cards at the beginning because my goal was not to sell you something. My goal was to just expand my network. And you'd be shocked by how many opportunities come and literally would knock on your door the moment you put yourself out there in a way that is authentic and in a way that makes you comfortable in who you are. And I can tell you, if I was starting an Instagram page when I just started my business, I would have probably failed miserably because I was not comfortable on camera. I didn't know what to say online. I had no idea how any of this worked. That's not the world I came from. And so leveraging what I had, my connections, my skills, my human interactions, all of these, and build something out of that. So when I did want to open social media, I was able to learn more about it, get a better understanding, and still say, for right now, it's not my primary marketing channel and I'm okay with it. Will it change in the future? Potentially. But right now, I know my resources and I can't compare myself to someone who started their social media, 10 years ago. I started it a year ago, and that's fine because I also know what I have, and that's what I'm focusing on. And that's why I'm really hoping more business owners will start doing. Analyze what do you have and how can you actually utilize it to grow your community and your audience and your business without feeling like you got to be an influencer on Instagram to get started.
Yeah. So I think this is so important because there are so many people who feel like like if they're not doing social media, they can't start a business, and that like it's
Yeah.
social media or ads, and those are the only options. And so I think it's really important for people to hear about ways that people are growing their business off of social media. So just to kind of follow up on, you were going to in-person networking events, and at the beginning you weren't exchanging business cards or anything like that. When it was time for you to start offering things to these people you had met, how did you reach out to them to make offers?
Yeah. So I actually never really started offering my services to people I met. My main process, I guess, is more finding partnerships and doing stuff that are more referral based. So I would go to these, networking events and conventions and all of that, not with the goal to find my ideal client, but with the goal to find other professionals that serve the same client as I do, that we can do some sort of collaboration. They can utilize my network of people, my skills, I can utilize theirs. At the beginning, I did do, for a little bit, I did a partnership program, essentially. So if you have an audience of essentially my ideal client, I will give you commission on anyone that comes from you, because I didn't have the ability to exchange these type of referrals. Before I did social media, I also did a lot of SEO. I love writing. I had a blog on my website, started from scratch. It's like literally, it's endless to the point of like overwhelming your brain when you're just like zooming out from social media. Like you have SEO, you have paid stuff, you have offline networking events, you have partnerships you can create with different providers or brands that share the same ideal client as you. You have products, you have markets. Like it's endless when you just zoom out and ask yourself, what do I have? And how can I actually utilize it? I liked writing. I was good at it. I could utilize it. I like talking to people. I went ahead and started talking to people and building connections. If you are great at, I don't know, visuals and graphic design, how can you utilize that to get yourself in front of your client and get those conversions?
Yeah. This is so important because I feel like what this is kind of highlighting for me, and this goes back to, where we were at the beginning about businesses failing, and then also about this falling prey to predatory marketing, which is that I think it's really important to always examine how do I want to say this? When what we're actually looking for is to skip the hard part, and to skip experimentation, and to skip trial and error, right? Like that's why we want someone to just come give us the answer, is because we don't want to endure months or years of experimentation and things not working and it being challenging. And we don't want to, there are so many people I encounter who have really entrenched beliefs about what failure means. And so trial and error is like almost emotionally impossible, because if they try something and it doesn't work, it's going to hurt them so much. And it means they failed, and they're going to make a big story about that, as opposed to like trial and error is this normal part of anything, but especially business. And, you're going to try stuff and some of those things won't work. And you'll be like, okay, great, moving on, check it off the list. We don't have to try that again. Let's keep moving forward. There's this desire to be saved from the hard. Yeah. And that desire to be saved from the hard part makes you susceptible to predatory marketing. It makes you give away your own power and look for a teacher who's kind of a guru and just, I'm going to do whatever this person says, because we're just so afraid of experimenting. And this desire to skip the hard part does us such a disservice. And it doesn't build the grit and the fortitude that you need if you do hit a time in the future where your business stops working as well and you need to troubleshoot. You didn't build that in the beginning, but because you skipped the hard part, right? It's like the skill that we build at the beginning by doing trial and error and by building our failure tolerance is a skill we're going to need later, because all businesses have hard periods.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's part of our culture at this point, right? Like even when I look outside of business, we're kind of at the point where we just are looking for quick solutions. Like, don't teach me anything. Just tell me how to solve my problem. Let me move on with my life. And especially when you're building something that is long-term business in our topic, you got to have these lessons. And, I think there's a balance in here. Like, I'm not saying put on a blindfold and like go out there to the world and like see what sticks. No, you want to have some sort of strategy, and you could definitely have a mentor, a coach, a consultant, a friend who had a business, someone who can guide you through it. But you want to look for these people that educate you and empower you, and you make your own decisions, versus people who almost do the opposite and tell you, whether it's verbatim or not, you're not good enough to know what your business needs. So listen to me. I'll let you know what your business needs, and you just need to execute it. And that does such disservice because you're already building that belief that you're not good enough and you're not smart enough and you're not educated enough to know what to do. Therefore, you're just going to follow someone else's advice versus educating yourself and getting someone who can give you best practices, give you shortcuts, teach you metrics and how to analyze your business and all of that without necessarily say, do this or you're never going to succeed. Like there's the balance there that I think a lot of business owners are missing, and that can be the most valuable thing your business have.
Yeah. This is so great, Inbar. So I guess my last question would be, if someone is just starting out in business, what are the things that they can do at the beginning to ensure that they're not one of the businesses that doesn't make it through their first 4 years?
I would say the biggest thing is educate yourself. I don't care how much money you have. If you have none, find, programs and nonprofit organizations that offer free mentorships. If you have something, decide if you want to do a course or a consultant or a coach or whatever it is. But the more you learn at the beginning, the more confident you're going to feel. And the other part is be proactive. At the beginning, especially, you don't know what you don't know. And then you get hit with like bills you didn't expect, or like with like really roadblocks that you would never think of. And it's really important to be adaptable and to be proactive from the beginning to establish the right type of foundation. And it all comes back to education and empowerment and taking the time to learn what you need to know to build a solid strategy versus trying to just put your leg on the gas and just like try to drive as fast as possible, burn through money, burn through time to then feel like you're failing, or then potentially also, needing to close your business because you no longer have profits, you no longer have money you can invest back, and you no longer have the time that you may have had at the beginning to learn what you don't know and to adapt and learn that proactiveness approach to business.
Love this so much. Where can people find you if they want to keep in touch with you or see what you're doing?
So now that I'm online, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Inbar Talks Business. And you can always also find me on my website, mibusinessconsulting.com. I'm over there.
Amazing. We'll make sure that we put the links for this in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. This was delightful.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you, as always, for being here and for listening to the podcast. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your time, so many things you could be listening to. It is an honor that